Everyone, and welcome to another Spark series by Dr Research Consultancy Services, which is a podcast focused on getting insights and experiences from experts in the field of eye and vision care. Today we have Dr. Jamil Rizwana, head of Rivoli Vision Academy, UAE. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Rizwana.
Thank you, Gopi. Thank you, Dr. Gopinath.
Yeah, so without much delay, let me go to the first question. So, what inspired your research career, and can you share some rewarding aspects so far you have experienced from your research career?
To me, my research career inspiration primarily came from some of my mentors, and because I saw the contribution that they were making to the optometry and the vision science community. And of course, I wanted to pursue my PhD outside the country, but as I couldn't at that point of time, and I got this excellent mentor, Dr. L.S. Varadarajan, I decided to give it a try. That's how it all started. And then later, I understood that all my passion and a lot of purpose related to what I was intending to do in optometry came through research. The most rewarding aspect of it is there are lots of unanswered questions in terms of both clinical areas, especially where not much research apparently is happening. So being a hardcore clinician at heart, I realized that the clinician researcher combo is something that was really required at that moment. So, and then looking at all of those unanswered questions, I started exploring one after another, which later defined my career path. And that was the most gratifying aspect of my research.
Yeah, thank you for that excellent response. So, going to the second question, like, can you share a challenging research project and what skills and qualities can overcome those obstacles as you from your experience, so an aspiring researcher can develop from them? So can you share a couple of challenging research projects also?
The most challenging research project was my own doctoral research project, my PhD project, because it started on a different note and then and was diverted to a different topic. And of course, when you are a doctoral research student and when you are also mother for two young children and managing a lot of stuff, I know, like, at some point I wanted to quit. So the most important thing I would recommend to anybody that faces challenges is to develop your own support system. This could be developing your own personality, because not that every one of us are blessed with an external support system, but it's very important that you first understand there is a lot of internal landscape change that is required when we pursue or when we enter into such challenging tasks, because that's what makes it both challenging, rewarding, as well as the adventure aspect of life in itself. So the important challenge I faced in my doctoral research was with respect to resources, because with limited resources, I had to explore a large sample in the community, while I was the only investigator in the project. So then I realized that you can't do it all alone and you have to seek support. And when you ask support, support comes. So I was not asking support. Then when I started asking for support, support came in. And then I built a team myself. And then with that team, I was able to then complete my project. So basically, it's about building your research network and your research group, because PhD is definitely, though you are getting your PhD, you can't do it all alone. And it's not just you and your supervisor, it's also a lot of other different components that you need to think through and ensure. And yes, because everybody also got a co-authorship because of their contribution. They were also equally involved into it and helped me collect the data. So the advice would be, yes, to build your internal landscape as a personality, knowing that hardships are ahead and I'm going to face them. I'm not going to quit. Second thing is to build a support system even outside of yourself. The network is like the key here.
Yeah, I truly second your thoughts on having a support system is very important, as I was also facing some major like problems during my PhD life. So coming to the like follow-up question, like how do you really approach for collaborations with researchers and build a successful partnership in terms of like multidisciplinary approach, say it at Shankaracharya or where you are currently associated with?
Yeah, it's really crucial. I mean, it's what that actually makes anything that you do successful, basically, because it is, if you take any research project, it's not that it has implications only in your area, right? Of course, when it comes to eye and vision care, optometry and ophthalmology are like the two major pillars. So definitely you need to have your ophthalmology colleagues on board when you're working on your research projects. They bring in a lot of expertise, both from the clinical expertise side, plus also, in terms of understanding the etiology and the long-term follow-up and management of a particular problem. So basically, the optometry ophthalmology combination, I mean, that completes or brings in a lot of clarity, brings in a lot of, I would say, insights, deeper insights into any vision science research. So definitely I understood that, and the moment you ask for support, it's, we always, we sort of have these limiting beliefs only in our head, but when you really like develop your own expertise, and then you've shown it or you've demonstrated it through the way that you function, through the way that you perform, or stand like an exemplary clinician, then automatically people come on board. So that's what I learned from my ophthalmology colleagues, and they were on board, and through them again. So it's more or less like a snowballing. Like you get one person on board, and their brain will bring the next person, and their brain then brings the next person. You should be willing to collaborate, because many of us think, oh, I need to do it all alone, and it's mine. And it just doesn't work that way, because the more brains, I mean, it's not like having 15 people, but it's like having 3 or 4 crucial people on board, and you should be willing to sort of agree to disagree, because in any research project for that matter, a lot of brainstorming is required from the stage of writing your protocol to then writing your manuscript. And the more critical inputs that you get from your the network, the better the quality of the work that you're then able to offer. The more that you are just restricting it to your very, very narrow group, there are less brains that contributes to the work, unless like you really have the top expertise on board in such projects. So that's what I learned, and I just started writing. Basically, started writing to people when I felt, oh, this person is really important. I would just write emails. It's not that everybody agreed, but most 60 to 70% people were, they were willing to come on board, and that's how I had my own, not really like multidisciplinary, I would say. Like certain projects required a multidisciplinary team, like the projects on special children and stuff like that required a special educator, a psychologist, an ophthalmologist, but then there are other projects where just the optometry ophthalmology combination was enough. So that's how I navigated stuff.
I think the last 3 questions as concerns my like the next question, like you have to start asking, you have to start like writing and collaborating. That should be the first key advice for any early researcher or career researcher. So following to the question, like how do you really address the ethical considerations in your research, or in be it any ophthalmology optometry research?
I still see this pattern somehow, which should not happen, which is not supposed to happen, which is you decide about your authorship, or you decide about who does what, who takes what role, almost at the mid or fag end of the project. But as the research guidelines clearly demonstrates, everything has to be set on stone when you write your protocol and when you get your research committee and your ethics committee approval, right? This is many early career researchers are not taking this seriously. And so it's okay, you can take a little bit more time when you're writing your project proposal and protocol, firm up the methodology. And also the important aspect is your authorship list. So who's going to be the principal investigator, who's going to be the first author, from everything. Unless, of course, some projects might want to include certain people as the project sort of moves forward, that's okay. But otherwise, most of it should be sort of set right, because this then avoids a lot of conflicts. Because in my own experience, I personally faced it, plus I also had to face it with my own colleagues, which then disrupts the sort of bonding and the friendship and the camaraderie that you have with them. So the most important ethical aspect is, one, define your authorship, the roles and contributions. It's not that you should just give authorship to somebody because they are senior person, number one. Number two is methodology. Many people sort of keep tweaking the methodology and then are sort of think about naming the study design somewhere in the middle. Okay, a study design is a study design. What study design will fulfill the objectives of your research is something that should be well defined right at the beginning. The sample size, the sampling strategy, what you want to then, how do you want to pursue? Like, is it multi-centric? Is it single center? Is it, so what it is, like every different pieces of that puzzle should possibly be set right. Which again, I'm not joking. When people are halfway through the project, somebody is wanting to present in a conference, they're like, oh, what is the study design? Is the sample size really enough? So again, having a biostatistician on board, if you do not have very good statistics knowledge or a background, having a biostatistician on board at the very beginning to set this right. Now that most of us, like people in the optometry community in itself, are having the necessary biostatistics knowledge. So it's not that you need to sort of like, that's why after research consultancy is there. So people should take support from us in terms of setting things right, setting things very systematic, because that is what then makes the research worthy. It's not just for the sake of doing it and getting a degree, but people are going to read that paper and then, oh, can I apply the results of this study to my practice, or can I use this paper as a reference? If that's all, if you think about all of those, then it's as important. It's not as important, it's the most important piece, where getting your methodology right at the first shot.
Thank you for that elaborative answer. So coming to the last couple of questions, like how do you really stay updated on your research trend in your field, as well as can you share I know your most of the research were under binocular vision and pediatric optometry. So what is the future research is happening in your field, and some emerging technologies and trends? Can you share some of them?
Right. So staying updated, I think once again is an important skill, like how we say publish or perish in the research industry. It's similarly for every clinician, or any field for that matter. Okay, staying up to date is crucial. Otherwise, you become obsolete. So I use the practice update. Of course, like while I was pursuing my research full time, I was doing my literature search every now and then. But then now I don't sit with PubMed as much as I would do unless I review a paper. And because I constantly get to review papers, then I have to read about those existing literature on those things, which helps me keep updated. But at the same time, I also am subscribed to a lot of these up-to-date articles that will be sent to you from practice update, practice management, and stuff like that, which would compile all of these recent top 5 papers in eye care, top 5 papers in vision care. And then so I just pick and choose. I ensure that at least every month I read 1 or 2 papers, because though sometimes I get super busy. So reading those papers in itself, reading and sharing those papers again in the community. So we have these binocular vision pediatric group, the SIG groups, where we then get to share it. And so that again brings in a lot of discussion and stuff like that. Evidence-based practice, I mean, I can't emphasize on it more, because in the current world, you just look at the practice management aspects. Unless you stay updated, you will be sort of following something which probably research had proved that no longer works. So that's really important. Coming to binocular vision and pediatric, emerging technologies and trends as such, Yes, myopia management is one where there are a lot of novel optical strategies and technologies that are coming into the picture, because now I'm in a corporate vision care practice, where these technologies are like crucial for us to then talk to our clients and customers about. So yes, those are some of those things are really like the myopia management innovation that are happening in terms of myopia control, is something that people need to keep following, because it just keeps expanding. The scope of myopia practice is also expanding. And when it comes to binocular vision as such, yes, when vision therapy is one of the is still there is a lot to explore when it comes to vision therapy and amblyopia management. Binocular treatment modalities for amblyopia, if you really look into it, it's like there is something or the other that's just coming up. So still there are people that would stick to just patching, right? Or people that would even stick to full-time patching for that matter. So in terms of all of those things, it's important that we sort of keep ourselves up to date. So yes, amblyopia management is really, there's lots happening. Myopia management, there's lots happening. And other than that, the foundational principles of all of these remains the same. So when I always look at it, the foundational bricks of understanding the etiology of this disease, or doing a clinical workup, all of these just remains the same. You don't really need fancy equipment and technology to diagnose or even to understand the clinical presentation. There, what matters is how good a clinician you are. So that expertise is something I would never ever negate. So people that wants to pursue their research, be it in binocular vision, pediatrics, myopia, core clinical optometry areas, I will tell you, the first step I would give you is to first develop your clinical expertise. Like at least spend a year seeing a lot of patients in these specialty before you pursue your research, because I see a lot of people jumping into research into these specialty areas where their clinical understanding is very shallow, and that again affects the depth of their contribution to the research aspect. Yeah, this is what I'll have to tell you.
I have a concluding question, like it might be a difficult one. How do you really balance your academic and like corporate demands with your personal life and well-being? I know you have been very like inspirational, posting all in the social media through your web page, like social Instagram. So can you share some points on this? Yeah.
It's not a tough question, of course. I think life is all like a matter of exploration. I took things very seriously at some point. And if at all I have to give one tip to all of these aspiring early career and mid-career professionals, I would just tell all of you that stay focused. Okay, stay focused on your journey, where you are heading and stuff like that. But also embrace fun along the way. That's what I would say. You need not be like super serious and then complicate things, because the more passion and fun and happiness you bring into life at large. So what I realized is that it is totally up to us. It's just up to us as individuals to then define how we want to paint this canvas of life. Okay, like it's just like a blank canvas that's been handed over to you. Now, how do you want to paint it? How many ever times you want to paint it? It's totally up to you. Life was not easy, definitely, for me. I mean, because I have to tell this to people, it was definitely not easy. And again, balance is something that is an illusory word, I would say, because when you really want to focus on something, let's say like I have to write my paper, write my thesis, and I have like 4 months to do. Of course, a lot of your time will be spent on that, and you will lose balance. I mean, it's not that you can take care of your child and your family and your partner and do this. No. But what you have to do is ensuring that you sort of get that support, or rather you build your resilience and say, this is how things are gonna be. I sort of request everybody to accept this thoughts. And somebody asked me like yesterday, like, ma'am, like day before yesterday, how do you pursue your dreams? Do you get permission from this person and this person and this person? And I said, there's only one person that I get permission from, and that's me. Which is, if I want to do something, I will do it no matter what. I mean, if there's a deeper purpose and meaning in what I want to pursue, I will get it done no matter what. Now, how do I get it done? How do I fight? Or how do I then ensure that I get that done is a very strategic aspect. Okay. And that strategy could be using the human kindness as a tool. Be kind, be compassionate with people, because people stayed supportive of me. My mentors, my parents, my kids, they stayed super supportive of me. And when you become the best version, like when you move to the next stage, you give back to them. So it's basically mutual. Life is always give and take. There is never like take. And so when you are able to give, when you are able to be present with them, stay with them, be fully present, be wherever you are, take all of you and go. That's what I'll tell you. Don't leave. There's no breadcrumbing story in my life. Wherever I am, I give 100% of me. And then there is no regrets. I don't then look at it and say, oh, I didn't give my 100%. No, I give all of me. And then when I move to that next stage, when I'm with my son, 100%. So it's that thing. And everybody has, I think, a different way of operating. There's no right or wrong way. And again, it's not that you're going to be happy 100% of the time. There are times when you are like, no, I'm done. I'm done, no more. That is also part of being human, I guess. And but yes, I mean, when we know that there is something larger than life, when you have a purpose that's larger than life, when you are onto something that's more meaningful, and when you know that whatever you do is serving just things beyond yourself, okay, then automatically that wakes you up, that then motivates you. When somebody reads your paper and says, this helped me, you know, you feel like so thankful. So that's what life is all about. You just keep giving, and life will just reciprocate it back to you. Don't worry about, like, don't say, oh, who's there to help me? You first start giving. You give your 100%, whatever you are, whatever you do, wherever you are, give your 100%. And I take my words as the gospel of truth. When you give everything you have, you will receive. uh, I use this word quite often. You receive miracles in ways that you can never imagine. You will be taken to places you've never imagined. But first, it all starts with you. Give it. Give all in, and try to become the best version of yourself every single day. Become better and better and better. That's what I would say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizwana, for giving us and sharing all your perspective and research knowledge. I hope this conversation has ignited a little spark within all the listeners. See you all in another ORCS SPARK podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Gopi, because you made me again think. Okay. And people like you inspire me. I should say that people like you inspire me, because you break these glass ceilings, you break these false ceilings that actually doesn't exist. Okay. And you show path that to people. You craft your own life path. I mean, people like you, I think you are very important. You're very valuable, you're very precious for this community. And so yes, you equally inspire me. And thanks to you for this time, and for this venture, bringing people on board, and ensuring that their wisdom then inspires our community. So yes, let's all have fun, and at the same time be worthy, and contribute to the community. Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Gopi.